Hello, welcome to Shelby Radio. I am Shelby Carino, and this is episode number 735. Why everyone feels different right now. Oh my gosh, and we are literally in the first week of April. Can you believe we are already in the month of April of 2026? But today's episode is we're going to dive into the truth about spiritual awakening. So if your life is feeling off right now, if things that used to make sense to you are no longer making sense to you anymore, if you feel emotional, overwhelmed, or even a little bit different, then I need you to stick around and hear this episode today because trust me, nothing is wrong with you. You are just awakening. Changes in perspective are happening, and I'm going to guarantee you this is beyond your control. It is happening. We have to embrace it. We have to accept it. We have to bring awareness to it. And then ultimately, we have to bring education to it because that is how you move through the feelings that I can guarantee you're probably experiencing right now. So let me just say I just went out of the gate with that one. It's like, that's how awakening feels. Awakening feels like you're just right out of the gate. It's like 1 minute you're doing life and everything seems very matrixy, like you're on a schedule, you're in a routine, you're in the normal. And then all of a sudden, it's like the meteor falls out of the sky, hits you, and then blasts you wide open. And then all of a sudden, you don't know what happened. You start having all these feelings. And then you're like, why does everything seem different right now? And why are all of these things changing in my life? So that's what I want to talk about now, because trust me, I have been through spiritual awakening more than one time. And yes, it is very possible to do it more than once because you're always doing it at another level. All right. So I want to talk about some real life symptoms that you might hear out here in the awakening community when it happens to you and these things that you're experiencing. I will say from my personal standpoint that when I began awakening, I felt very disconnected from my normal life. Do you know what I mean? It's like one day I was doing my normal routines, having the same conversations that I would have with people, going to the job that I was doing, and really feeling like my feelings didn't really change. Everything just kind of seemed in this homeostasis type of energy. And then one day it just changed and I began feeling very disconnected from this normal life that I had built. And I began searching for why I was feeling that way because I felt that shift inside of me. So are you experiencing that? Or have you experienced that before and you're noticing you're experiencing it again, but you're in a different stage of your life now than the first time you experienced it? Because a lot of that is going on as well. But another real life symptom of this awakening journey is you're questioning everything. Do you have those people in your life that are mirrors to you right now that every time you say something, they're questioning you? Or they're saying, well, I don't understand. Or they're just like, Well, why do you think that would be? And everything is brought back to you with a question. It's probably because something inside of you is questioning what you're doing, right? You're beginning to question things that you may never have questioned before. Why is the sky blue? Why do I have to live in the same neighborhood that I grew up in? Why do I have this belief system about relationships that I don't even believe? Okay? Why is there religion and why is there spirituality? What is the difference in the two, or is there? Okay? It's just these little things that you begin to question. Why is the neighbor's dog shitting in my yard all of a sudden? Okay, these are questions that don't have to link to the big woo-woo, woo, I'm waking up, okay? Just everyday things that you begin questioning. Another big one, another huge symptom is you outgrow people or the routines that you're in. So you might be at a place where every Friday night you hang out with the same crowd of people. You go to a restaurant or an event or something like that. But when you're in the energy of the group, you're just kind of not fulfilled. And you start thinking, I'd rather be at home on the couch with my animals watching. Here's a new show that I have been binge watching with Joe, The Madison, okay, with Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh my God. It's another Taylor Sheridan show, but oh my God, it is so good. Okay. So you get to a place where you're starting to outgrow people, and it's not a bad thing. You're just beginning to move through something where your routine is being tested and the circle that you keep is being tested. And so it's a symptom. It's a symptom of this awakening process. Another huge one, oh my gosh, especially for my female clients, emotional waves. Crying, frustration, confusion, anger, and then joy. Okay. Like, it's not bipolar. It's not the premenopause or menopause. Yes, all of that can be linked into that. But you have these emotional waves in this process of awakening. And then you move into a symptom where you crave more meaning behind things. I call it going down the rabbit hole of information, where things that you didn't find interesting before, you start to find interesting. So you get into those moments of yourself where you have time and moments in your day where you start researching things that you wouldn't tell people out loud, especially in your circle, if you don't think they would believe those things. So that's that beginning. I want more meaning to what my life is, why I have all these feelings. And that is why when you are ready to be supported with a lot of these perspectives that will help you get to your answers, that's why my 12-course curriculum is so important, because it moves through these real life symptoms of awakening and helps to explain it so you don't spend so much time in your brain trying to figure out, and it's already given for you, and all your energy body has to do is integrate the new information. So this will help you feel like you fit somewhere. Because when you begin waking up, oftentimes people feel like they don't fit anymore anywhere. They feel like the outsider. I'm not supposed to be here. I don't want to be here. You hear a lot of people begin to separate themselves from the matrix. So I want you to have a safe space to know that you do fit, and that there are people just like you going through this, and I have been through this many times, hence my curriculum, okay? And the conversations within my curriculum are deep. Because when you begin waking up, a lot of conversations that you feel like you're having might be very shallow, very surface level, and you're looking for that depth, that richness. And I give you that in the courses because, hello, been there, done that, right? Takes one to know one. So if you're having that symptom that also follows, which is you just feel like you have this deeper meaning to life, like you have this deeper calling that is calling out to you, but you have absolutely no idea how to get there. You don't even know what it is. That's a time where maybe we have a one-on-one private session, phone call, and we move through that calling that you're feeling in order to align this awakening process that's going on with you so everything can get put back into some kind of order, which is what the education piece is about, because then it helps you walk out your experiences here easier. And trust me, when I found my mentor and I went through her processes, it was so much easier than if I would have been going out trying to nickel and dime myself to just do free research online. Okay? There's a reason there's so much information online, and it's not because it's meant to straighten you out. If anything, it confuses you more. So there is a process to these symptoms and understanding through education what all of that means in your world. Okay? So all of this is what awakening actually looks like. Okay? And no one, not really, maybe they do, talk about it. Or maybe talk about it in the way I talk about it, because I'm going to talk about it in my own way, from my perspective, okay, of what I have been through, because that makes it valid, because I've been there. That's what you want, not someone who has studied it in a book and then they just regurgitate the information. Who has lived it, integrated it, created something from that, and continues to live that path. That's very important when you're out here seeking information on awakening. Because I will tell you, when you are awakening, when you are starting to feel different from other people, from your life, and disconnected and disassociated, awakening is not peaceful at first. Okay? There's a lot of information out here. It's like, oh, I'm going through this awakening. It's so peaceful. I found God. I've done, no. When you really, truly go through an awakening process, a destruction of self, it is not usually peaceful. And it's usually not very magical. Even if you have parts of magic come in at certain times, and you have certain parts of peace at certain times. But there's usually a destruction that happens before you get into peace and magic. And a lot of times people don't talk about that, because that's the uglier side to awakening. But it's an important side, because you have to learn how to navigate through that. Because awakening is a disruption in your life. Raise your hand if you feel like your life is disrupted right now. Because God knows the planet's being disrupted. The collective consciousness is feeling everything that's shifting on this planet right now. So somewhere in you have a disruption in your life. You are questioning something in your life, no matter how awake you are, no matter how ascended you may feel you are. And you're probably having a lot of emotional releases in some capacity, because we're all in this stage together. And when awakening happens, which really is just a reframe of your life, your relationships, your belief systems, okay? It's like your life is being reorganized while you're still living in it. And where a lot of people get caught is, how do I organize my life now without having information of how to reorganize it, because I've never had someone tell me, oh, you're spiritually waking up. To go, oh, by the way, when you're spiritually waking up, it basically means that your unconscious mind is expanding consciousness, which means your belief systems are changing. Your perspectives are changing, which is changing your job, your relationships, your ability to do a healthcare routine the way you used to do it, whatever. That's all a part of it. And I get excited when I meet people like that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going through this awakening process. And even though it looks messy and gross, it's not. Let's straighten it out and make it more smooth. Okay. So again, that's a lot of what my curriculum helps do. It plugs in those missing holes. Okay. So have no fear if you have a loss of interest in your old life, because you're just moving now into an alignment shift. And that brings on these emotional waves because you're doing varying releases. You're not necessarily breaking down, you're just releasing. Okay. So if you're one of those people right now where you're questioning life now more than you've ever questioned it before, and you're having the shifts in your relationships, in your careers, in your identity, and I say careers because there are people who are working more than one job, so I term that as careers, okay, which basically means you're surviving, okay. Well, there's a collective awakening going on. And there's more people that are waking up at the same time. And when more people wake up at the same time, it creates more frequency, more vibration, more energy. And you feel that. Versus if you just go and live on a mountaintop and then you just wake up there, okay, you're not going to have as much pushback on you because you're on a mountaintop by yourself. But the way we live in society, we're in the matrix of everybody else, and everyone else is feeling this. I mean, my gosh, I can look out my office window right now and I could put, maybe 8 arm links between me and the house next door. Okay. We're literally living on top of each other these days. So it's a collective thing that's going on. And then it's hard because you don't feel like you can get away from all of it because we're just like little mice, living on top of each other. Okay. So this isn't happening to you. It's happening to a lot of people right now. Okay. So don't feel like you're on an island or in a bubble by yourself. Okay, just know, hey, this is what's going on. So I'm going to break this down in very simple terms for you. Your body is processing emotions differently. Emotions are just energy in motion. We are all composed of energy. Might, for some people out there, pose a challenge in that belief system. But we are energy. We are made up of energy in our bodies, okay? That energy carries memory. Memory has emotion with it because we've all been hurt. We've all had joy. We've all struggled. We've all maybe not struggled at some point. But your body processes these emotions differently based on those memories and how your body energetically chose to store it. So that is what brings this awareness to an expansion So you can realign your original energy before that trauma came in. So, this tolerance that you might have for things to be misaligned in your energy, and you play it out here in the physical world to be aligned, well, that tolerance is dropping. It's not okay with a lot of people right now for the behaviors to be occurring the way they're occurring, whatever that may mean. Okay. Or, language to be what it is. There's just less tolerance for misalignment in this higher vibrational energy. So if your sleep is changing, if you're waking up at odd hours, if you're starting to feel people more than you ever have before in their energy, or you're very, very sensitive to those emotions and it's increasing, then it's not that you're becoming too much. You're becoming more aware of what you never felt before around you. Okay, let me say, that was a big one that dropped in. Let me say that again. If your patterns of sleep are being interrupted, you're waking up at weird hours, you're feeling people's energy more, you're becoming more emotionally sensitive. It's not that you're becoming too much of something. It's because you're becoming more aware of the energy and things around you. And when you bring awareness to something, you bring an integration into that process. So when you bring that integration of that awareness in, if your own personal self has not moved through the processes of this awakening process, then that is when you feel it at a deeper, deeper level, because your awareness is saying it's time for the education. And that's when you go out to look for your teachers like me, your mentors like myself, people like myself who have put together a curriculum, because when it happened to me, I didn't have a curriculum in the way that my curriculum is. And I wanted that for myself. So I created it for others because I knew that's what I would have wanted and how I would have learned. So, and then I went out and tested it, and it worked for everyone that took and has taken those courses. Okay? Different experiences, same type of awareness and movement in the energy. So, you're not losing your life. You're just outgrowing aspects of that life that are no longer in alignment with this expanded consciousness or awareness you're coming into that you may not understand yet. Whether you're at the beginning of awakening or you're in your 10th awakening process, understanding it at a different level. Okay? The old version of ourselves can never come with us. You can preserve the positive learnings of the past and bring those, but the version of who you were and how you are now isn't the same. So you break up with that version because you're creating and reinventing this newer version of yourself. That's why the stories have to stay where they are, because you're in a new version of self. And in that confusion that you have, it leads you to transition. And when you're feeling that loss of yourself, or that just feeling lost in general, that's your identity shifting. And you're recreating a new identity of you. So awakening begins with this unrest and dissatisfaction before the clarity hits the scene. So if you're listening to this episode today, good for you. And when you are ready, And when you feel supported to do this, please go look at my curriculum. Schedule a one-on-one call. Go to my Instagram at Shelby Carino and scroll through my reels and get into a more peaceful vibration, something of content that means something because it regulates your nervous system. And binge that the way you would binge your favorite show on Netflix. Okay. And begin pulling that energy to you. And then in the right time, in the right moment, you will be ready to become that steward of yourself, that student that wants the education, the understanding, the movement to make it more aligned, because it's a process. So if all of this is for you, you're not alone, right? And you're not going backwards. I tell that all the time to my clients. Don't worry, you're not going backwards. I know it looks like you're going backwards, but you're not. Okay? Even if it feels like it, you're not going backwards. Okay? So re-listen to this episode as many times as you need to. Please share this on your social media or with a friend. Email it to them, whatever you need to do. It's not only just on your favorite podcast platforms. It's on my YouTube channel, The Queen of Total Wellness, Shelby Carino. You know, if people like watching the video, share it, because we need more people to be coming into this conversation, because from the conversation comes the education and the desire to learn and grow and begin shaping that new identity, because there is no other choice but to move forward. All right. So, I got to shake that one out. That was a big one. I'm going to leave you with that. But next week, I will be coming back in this series of the truth about spiritual awakening and discussing that exact moment when our old life stops making sense and what to do when that happens. So come back next week for more, and follow me on Instagram at Shelby Carino. Check out the videos on YouTube at Shelby Carino, or the Queen of Total Wellness, I should say, at the Queen of Total Wellness. And I will be back same time, same place next week with more. So until then, take care.